Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back to the Who Am I Radio Network. The Who Am I Radio Network, coming to you live from beautiful downtown Corrales, New Mexico. Gateway to enchantment. Actually, nobody says that. I think it's the horse capital of New Mexico or some, I don't know. Land of enchantment, land of green chili. Who am I? We ask the eternal question. And the reason we do is because there are so many practical applications. There's so many practical questions and answers. This field is ripe with possibilities, both practical, philosophical, psychological, social, socioeconomic. What is reality, after all? That's the question. We're going to talk about it. What is reality with a capital R? What is source with a capital S? Who am I with a capital I? Except it always has a capital I. Who am I? I am a two-tiered being, two-level, two-pronged, two aspects, two main aspects. And, you might think that some of the things I talk about, some of them actually sort of flow into the realm of the obvious. But the way it may seem like it's obvious, but I'm applying a rigor and an academia to it that, is actually not just a general duh, but a focused, specific, we're going to be talking about stuff. What is the negative self? What is the negative self? You run into it, don't you? Don't you know people who are negative, who somehow have translated the world in this odd, negative way, and all of their calculations are coming out bonkers in a way about who has value and what has meaning and whether or not you should be speaking to these people or those people. Now, this specific instance that I am, self-referring to in my own head is actually not my own personal experience. If you've been watching the show, and you know that that I had a little moment myself in my own life over the last weekend. That's not what I'm talking about. I just know that there's all kinds of instances of negative people out there who get it in their mind, something negative out there in the world. They translate it into a negative frame, and then they act, impulse, draw meaning, all from this negative source. And it's wonky and it's weird and it's not what we should be doing. It is not in alignment. You can feel the misalignment in it. So what's the answer? Well, we're going to talk about the negative self, what it actually is. And then when you observe a negative one in your own life and you're trying to figure out the meaning of it, or you're going negative in your own self and you're trying to figure out what's the meaning of this. What's the meaning of this feeling I have inside of me that feels so bad? I want to be happy. I want things to go well for me. I want to be happy about everything, even when things, because there's stuff that happens that is beyond your control. Right now, the weather is beyond any individual's control for the most part. Now, that doesn't mean that we or even an individual couldn't have some sort of actual influence or effect on the weather. If you believe Abraham's story, for just a second they popped the weather, but she wasn't able to sustain it, But Abraham popped the weather for just a second in over the top of, it's not Bodie, Texas. It's I haven't been listening to Abraham as much. But so the question is, who am I? Who am I, and what is this negative self? What is a person's negative self? And how does it relate to who they really are? And what are you supposed to do about it if somebody, let's just assume it's always easier to look at other people. So go ahead and look at other people first, knowing that, of course, you're going to have to turn that mirror your direction at some point. But don't be afraid of that. It's okay. It's always easier to look at the for instance by looking at other people first. So say you have somebody who is incredibly negative in your life. Maybe, so I know of one that is, it's family adjacent, but it's not anywhere near close to my family experience in any way. But I know somebody who has a child with a once beloved ex that she now has decided is the Antichrist, and that he's a horrible person, that no one in the family should have anything to do with him, and anyone who does is betraying her in a way. The problem is they have a 2-year-old child, 2.5-year-old child, and life goes on, and it isn't really all that true. She's misunderstanding the meaning of herself and the meaning of her negative feelings about this person, that she may have legitimate reasons to have some negative reaction. She has a right to prefer or not prefer conditions or whatever, but the fact is how do you interpret who your negative self is? Or we're not talking about your negative self right now. We were talking about somebody else's negative self, because that's always easier to look at it that way. But what is it? You are two selves. And when one of you disagrees with the other one, you have a negative emotion. Now, the one who's going to disagree, so you have your source self, your source mind, your connected mind, your liquid love, connected to all frequencies, holographic, inner being, source aspect of yourself, which is the greater part of yourself. You are an extension of source energy. You really are. Especially when you start studying the new understandings of the new unified physics, you understand that actually you literally are an extension of source energy. The material world, so where you have come into materiality, that's the self we're talking about, I suppose. But it is connected to the whole rest of it. Where it is incoherence, where it is spinning in organized order, where it has come into coherence, you might say, it's little vortices of the Planck field spinning. Where it does that, you see matter. You see energy. You see, well, there's the energy is everywhere. But where it comes into coherence, where it has extended, where space-time, the Planck field, space-time has extended itself into materiality through its spin. And that's why it looks like something instead of nothing. Where this Planck field, which is always almost infinitely energetic, where it's in coherence, it looks like matter, and where it's not, it's canceling out to the random function, and it looks like space. Well, so you are made of atoms. You are an extension of source energy. You are this spinning space-time Planck field, and everything else around you is too, and who you are does not end at your skin. Well, one of you ends at your skin, and that one is the one that you have in a way, autonomous control over. You have autonomous control over this one from the inside out. And you should start from the inside, because the first move is to get the two of you in alignment with one another. When one of you is disagreeing with the other one, that's when you've crossed your energy stream. You are crosswise to yourself. You're backwards. You're facing backwards, not forward. You're the energy field that you create from this position as you try to move forward is a reversed energy field. I call it Loki energy. I call it demonic energy. It's Shiva energy, the energy of the destroyer. It's the chaos of the storm. The storm is an organized thing. The storm of the tornado or the hurricane. It's an organized thing, but it's organized. It's the other spin. There's a spin going up and a spin going down. The downward one is actually the inward, the sucking, the pulling together of the gravity force of love, the focus of this aperture of focus and attention of consciousness as it casts its gaze on whatever specific project through the apparatus of the specific vehicle. In other words, you. And you are important to this equation, and I am too. We all are. Quit discounting yourself. As a matter of fact, that's how most people, they short-circuit themselves by just discarding and discounting their value and their worth. You are meaningful in this equation. It's a physical equation. It's a real one. You're here. You're here. You are physically here. You are a particular way. And you are that way for a reason. Find it. Be it for all of us. I'm trying. I got this stupid show going on that I have, a few part. I don't mean to disparage my blessed audience. I'm so glad my piddly poo podunk audience. Once I called. Oh, what is this? No, my recording error. I've got a recording error. Oh, okay, well, hopefully I'm still online. Not sufficient disk space to continue recording. Oh, okay, all right. So I'm not recording anymore. Somehow, I think that this must be going to my regular hard drive and not to my external hard drive. And finally, my technology is forcing me to face that. And so it's not going to allow me to record anymore. But hopefully I'm still streaming and hopefully my audience still hears me. I'm just going to have to go fix that. Shame. So, hi Indigo. Am I still here? Do you hear me? I'll just check with that, and then I will go back and finish my stream of thought. I've been having a good time riffing and skiffing and surfing the waves of the universe this morning. Did not mean to call my audience podunk. Once I called my mother's town podunk, and the little Colorado River that ran through it, I called it a podunk river. And oh my gosh, she very much, excellent. She very much identified with the material world around her and did not know where she began and where the world around her ended. And so I had you never knew where you were going to offend my mother if you insulted anything around her, because that was her. That small river, that creek that ran through the... actually, I loved the podunk town that she came from. It was where I spent some of the most meaningful, happy days of my life. She never really understood my reference to podunk, and she was too ready to take offense, because I have a rule of thumb myself. You don't have to be scanning the social universe looking for who is meaning offense. If somebody, just because somebody means offense doesn't mean you have to take offense. And you could make it a rule: I'm never taking offense, and I don't care how they mean it. If they mean it that way, that's a spirit I really didn't want to be involved in anyway. So it's best if I just don't take offense. You don't have to do that, and it's better. To my calculations, I have always had a better way of it without taking offense, I don't care whether they mean it or not. I'm not taking it. The offense would be coming from someone's negative side. And when you determine what a person's negative side ultimately actually is. Now, it is true. My thing just made a noise at me, which I don't know what it did. Let me go see why. Why did it make a noise at me? Let me look here. No? Does it say everything looks good? Everything looks good. Excellent. Okay, well, so I really should be looking at the stream now. Because my recording went away. Because I don't have enough time. Did you just start with me, Indigo? You just got here, didn't you? I have been having a good time already. You can go back and catch the rest of the whole show. I don't know what to do with this now. Coming at you from the Who Am I Radio Network in beautiful downtown Corrales, New Mexico. The gateway to enchantment. That's my name for us. I don't think anybody's named us that. So anyway, who am I? And specifically we are talking about, I guess I'm going to land this morning on a discussion of the negative self. What is the negative self anyway? Who is our negative self? What is that person's negative self? That problematic person in my life. What is their negative self? That's actually a more comfortable question than what is my negative self. But what is it? It's a non-blending of your two selves. And I want you to know that one of you knows. So trust her. And I'll tell you something else. She's coming in on a particular frequency. And that frequency is peace. And that frequency is take a deep breath. Love. Connection. Wholeness. Allowing. It's like take 10 steps back and take a gander at what you're looking at first. And now I know that there are physical things in our physical world. My machine keeps making noise at me, but I don't know what it's trying to tell me. So I'm hoping that everything is just okay. So what is your negative self? It's the non-blending of your two selves. Which one of you knows? Your source self, obviously. So how can you tell the difference between your two selves? Well, your source self, believe it or not, is your desire. Your physical self, believe it or not, is your beliefs. Now, where are your desires and where are your beliefs? If you are the kind of person where you're not really thinking about it too much, but where your desires in life are in one place, and where your beliefs are kind of in the same place, and you're just moving forward. If you're that kind of a person, you're a mover, you're a shaker, you're happy. You are moving fast in the material world. Things are moving around you in a pleasing way. Construction that you adore is going up in front of your eyes. People that you love are moving in and out of your space. Things are, I don't know, whatever you want is happening if you are in that kind of a space. I think it's just alerting me to how much CPU space. I think that's what it's doing, and it's just giving me a little chime. And it has to do with my computer, and so I'm going to have to do some tech work. Hopefully I get it fixed so that I'll be back on the air tomorrow. Along with my video recording over on the permanent side. I have different sides to my channel, my videos, my lives, my replays of my lives, and all of that. One side is just having an issue this morning. So you are two selves. Let's get back to that. And one of you knows. And there's a very good reason why one of you knows. So trust her. Trust her, because know your design. Know what your design actually looks like. You are layers and levels of whole integrated wholeness to the whole rest of the universe. You are space-time extended into materiality, and as such flowing with all of the information of all of the rest of the materiality. It's really cool. It's a very, very, very cool setup. So what does this mean about your negative self? Just know that your inner being knows. Trust her. Trust her and the frequencies she is coming in on. She is coming to you on the frequency of love and peace. And so if you are tuned in to the frequency of outrage, outrage, frustration, even anger, frightened. I'm having a hard time finding the scale of the gamut of the negative emotions. If you are in any state of negative emotion as you think, the thoughts that you are thinking are not in alignment with the thoughts that your inner being is thinking. You may not have realized that your broader, greater, vibrational, larger aspects of yourself do indeed think. They have projects that they are thinking about too. They are thinking about the expansion of us all. They are thinking about all of the possible ways that the wholeness could be made cooler and cooler and better and more. What is the whole project doing together? It is interacting. It is because you are the whole field. I don't want my energy. I'm sort of become thoughtful for a second as I ponder the equations, wonder where I'm going to speak next of this. Where does the energy within myself flow about it, as a matter of fact? What do I want to talk about? Who am I? You just got to know how it all fits together. And when you realize how it all fits together, then you do one of those, hit your forehead, could have had a V8 moments where you go, oh my God, clean, free energy really is possible. Isn't that the first step to realize that? Oh my gosh, it's possible. Now, you might say, Well, if it's so possible, there's 8 billion of us, and we've been, the greater minds than yours have been thinking about this for hundreds of years. Why do we not have it yet? Well, it's because actually we've been hoodwinked for a while. And the hoodwinked and we still continue to be. If I put this out on the internet under the heading, this is how I would get the conversation going. If I really wanted a debate to start around my discussions, what I'm talking about. I really haven't wanted to debate anybody about it. I don't want to debate. I know what I know, and I'm just trying to, make some. I'm trying to solidify some neural network pathways within my own brain so that I can think about these concepts over a longer period of time in a pure positive way so that I can, develop these thought processes within myself so that I can create this thing for myself. That's what the whole Who Am I project has been for myself. But I realize that it does carry interest for others, especially if within my laboratory I come up with really cool things, really cool equations. I come up with an understanding of connections of certain realities and certain concepts within the human conscious sphere that are helpful. For instance, the way to explain so that lay people can clearly understand that clean free energy is possible, because I'm telling you, all of the conventionally educated people have been convinced that you can't have clean free energy because there is only X amount of energy. So if I'm just pulling it out of nothing, then I'm creating it, and that creates an imbalance somewhere. You can't create clean free energy out of nothing. But see, this is the rub. This is the key point of difference, is in the understanding of this actual divine matrix, that the 0-point energy field. When you understand it, you realize that there is no place where there is not already almost infinite energy. You're not creating anything out of nothing. It's all there, everywhere. And where it is stochastic and cancels out to the random function, it looks like empty space. And when it doesn't cancel out because it has spun itself into coherent patterns, that's what you call the material world, the atoms, the molecules, your physicality. Now, you exist on more than one level. You have this level of mind that is your physical mind, that is your physical brain, that is encased in your physical skull, that is engaged in your physical life, that is also designed along the design of a physical human being. That is you. So you have the small you that is you, and then you have the larger you that is the whole spin of the whole thing, of the whole field. And you are both of these things. You are both of these things, and it's really important that you are both of these things. Now, if you are happy most of the time, if you are feeling effective in your life, if you personally are following your bliss and everything in your life is coming out, if it is moving along, if you are completely satisfied in every way, then you don't have to think about these things. You're doing just fine. Keep it up. Keep it up. However, if you are having issues with a negative self, either your negative self or someone else in the self that you are from a larger frame, as in someone around you that you really can't walk away from this person because you love this person. It's not even really unless they decide to go nuclear negative, if they decide to go nuclear negative and test your conditionality, then under those circumstances, oh my God, tear my heart out of my chest, and I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to focus in some other direction. But not for a minute do I really believe that you could do that, and thank God you can't, because I am not a negative self. Oh, my computer is really bothering me today because it's told me that I'm hooked up wrong. I have at least 1 terabyte of external hard drive that's supposed to be collecting all of my recordings. But somehow, for some reason, maybe I've been doing a lot of recording. Maybe I need a bigger hard drive in order to, make sure that I am able to do all of the things, record all of the things that I want to, including this show coming from the Who Am I Network. The Who Am I Radio Network. Who am I? Anyway, who the hell am I, and what is my negative self? First of all, in a way, your negative self is not wrong in a way. And it is important to earmark this also, because one of the things that people do, and it's a way that they negate themselves all the time, is to discover, oh, I'm wrong about that. I'm wrong about that. And so if you take your negative self as being yet another way that I am chronically wrong about things, then especially if you find yourself negative quite a lot of the time, it's very distressing to think of always my negative self is wrong. There is something out in the conditional world that your negative self is telling you that is not negative. It's telling you something that you want. It is identifying a desire for you, possibly, or it might be a desire for a condition change, and it might be that you absolutely hate the fact that you have to make money in this world. And so maybe in the seeds of you, if you are not stomped down in your sense of who you are, it might cause you to grow up and believe that your calling is to change the laws of this country and the rules of the game so that everyone has a universal basic income, and then we are harvesting only the best ideas from joyous, happy, non-fearful minds dancing together, and you want to change the world that way. But instead, maybe you think that you are nothing, and so you instead just... So let's start back at the beginning. I know that there's something really interesting in this. Your source self is your desire. Let's go back to that one. Your source self is your desire, and your physical self is your beliefs. And those two things, it is your job to try to figure out how to find a way to get those two into the same place. Because you are a desire-fulfilling mechanism. You are designed to imagine the better, to be able to arrange it, a great deal of it, in the sky, in your mind, in your consciousness, in your imagination, and then focus back down onto the landscape around you and bring what you have imagined into the world of reality around you. You are that kind of amazing manifestation creation machine. That's what you are. But you have to get lined up that way. You have to understand who you are. You have to believe that you are worthy, that you are valuable, that your desires mean something, that your beliefs... So what does it all mean? You may have to massage some of this. You may have to, kind of move your beliefs around a little bit. You may need to adjust your desires. The first thing I would advise is start desiring what you need. Consciously start desiring clean water, clean air, peaceful relationships, efficient, smooth flowing functions between systems, between human beings. Start wanting. So let's go back to what are the 7 items that you need to keep your physical self going, in order of how quickly you will go still if you do not have these things. The first one is air. If you don't breathe, you're gone in just a couple of minutes. Then water is the next one. Then curiously, the next one is not food, but it's sleep. Because your consciousness needs to keep communing back with the greater wholeness that you are in order to keep yourself balanced. If you don't sleep within a week, or I don't know how many days it might take, mad, and I mean horrific, vivisection scientists, not scientists, pseudoscientists in vivisection laboratories have done horrible studies, keeping animals awake, past, their psychotic point. And it's a horrible, horrible thing to behold. We should never be doing that to another consciousness. Ever, 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 ever. As soon as you do it once, you go, oh my God, I'm horrified. I'm not doing that anymore. I can see what that does. So you will go psychotic and die before you will expire from lack of food, probably. Now, these are general rules. There's exceptions to these rules. The next one would be food. So it's air, water, sleep, food. Then it's shelter, and it doesn't mean a house. It just means some sheltering environment, something that is accommodating to your physical self, something that agrees with your physical needs and limitations and whatnot. Shelter. And then relationship, and it doesn't have to be with another human being. It doesn't actually have to be with another living being. It could be with the whole universe, or it could be with a volleyball. You just need relationship. You need relationship. That's why it was so devastating when Wilson floated away. Oh my God. You know what? I bawled. That's where I cried in the movie, because you could just feel his pain. You knew what that was. It was horrible. Anyway. And then the last thing that you need, the 7th thing you need, that if you do not get it, you will go still. And I think that this is probably the answer to why I, in my small world, felt the need to broadcast the Who Am I Network. Because I wanted the world to know, who am I? Now, specifically, I'm sure that it was coming from me wanting very specific people in my world to know who I am, so that they do not misinterpret my heart. They do not misinterpret my intentions. They do not misinterpret my overall, where I am coming from and who I am at my core, where my beliefs are. I am not trying to start a cult. If I am, it's a cult of like 3 or 4. That's not much of a cult. That's more like just a few people in loving agreement about something. So, anyway, who am I? Who am I? Good question indeed. Who is your negative self? And actually, my calculations, my formulas helped me to get through what otherwise might have been a very painful schism within my own family, if it wasn't for my ability to not see their negative self and interpret that as who they really are. Because I know it isn't. The negative self is never who you really are. It's not who I really am. It's not who you really are. It's not who that nasty, chaotic, antisocial, or counter-social asshole over there is. It's not his real self either. But a lot of it is expressions of things, misalignment that we are experiencing within our systems around us, that are out of alignment, that are not fulfilling everybody's peaceful, loving, joyful, abundant needs. It just isn't. The systems, when they were created out of alignment, out of someone's fearful sense of whatever. Let's take, for instance, our medical model, which I used to be quite the little rebel in this. I discovered in the 80s a book called Slaughter of the Innocent by a man named Hans Rüsch, who was he was trying very hard to put out into the sphere of consciousness of humanity what was behind our medical models, where we were getting our information, how our drugs were coming to market, how our medicine was coming to market. And behind the scenes was, and I have no idea what the state of it is right now, or how secret, or how I don't know exactly where it is. I found that it was so big and so beyond me that I had to just drop it. But at one point I realized that there was in the 80s, it was like a $7 billion industry. At the moment of time that I peeked over there and looked, it was a $7 billion industry. It involved in the trading of the lab animals and the equipment to inflict the torture. Well, the torture equipment, as well as all the cages and all of the bedding and the feeding and the water tubes and the all of the apparatus and equipment involved. And then I looked back and I realized where this whole model had come from. It kind of in a physical way, it started back around 1913. Right in that zone area, it was John D. Rockefeller, was considered a philanthropist. He was a billionaire of the time. He probably didn't have billions, but it was billions would be like unto billions in today's dollars if there were the kinds of baubles to buy. There weren't the yachts and the whatever, but he was filthy rich for the time, and he funneled a lot of his money into what some people at the time thought of as philanthropic endeavors. But what he actually did was he set up doctor colleges, physicians, education systems, university requirements, laboratories to create pharmaceutical substances, the laboratories to do the vivisection, to do all the animal testing, to make sure. So what it is you have to do X amount of such and such a kind of tests before you can start, before it's considered safe to start doing the clinical tests of the pharmaceutical drugs using human beings. You have to do rigorous animal testing first to make sure, and even then, some things slip through. For instance, thalidomide causes tremendous birth defects in humans, but it does not cause birth defects in the mice that they originally tested it on. They did lots of tests, and that one didn't. Turns out there's things that happen with the gestation process, and so they're very careful about what they allow pregnant women to have, because it doesn't do it in one. And the consequences when you have thousands of women giving birth to children without arms, but hands coming directly out of their shoulder sockets. It's a tragedy that, it just, you don't want to be doing that sort of thing. Anyway, I don't want to get lost there. The fact is that John D. Rockefeller, with all of his philanthropic whatever, in one swoop sort of set up the whole thing. And so you may look at the Western medical model and you may know doctors and you may know their heart. You may know that they would want nothing more than to heal their patients. They have good hearts, they have good intentions, they're good people. But you got to know what some of the poison threads back in the system as we set up the whole medical system. First of all, it was coming from the direction of someone who really wanted to have the answer be pharmaceuticals. I want to have it be a system of laboratories that can create pills that I can sell to you that will cure your ills. And you know what? There's a problem with that right there, especially since it completely misunderstands the vibrational nature of the universe and the self-sourcing nature of all of the universe. All of the source of everything is wherever you are. You are the source. So as you get into coherence with your two selves, your energy level should spike. I am discovering that my energy level is spiking, and especially in these morning sessions. I used to, barely have the energy to sit on a bed in the dark and murmur things to myself quietly. I had to be kind of quiet. If I spoke too loud, then my physical self would kind of get in the way, come into the play and get in the way, and my quiet voice self would sort of, not know what to say anymore. And now, these days, I can get up, get fully dressed. I can even take a shower, get fully dressed in a fully lighted room, sit down in front of my microphone, and do a show. Now, I still can't do it later in the afternoon, but someday I'll get there. I will be a whole self at some point where my inner self, my vibrational self connected to the whole rest of everything, and the little self that is in charge of my lighting up my little area of the grid, those two will be completely in harmonious physical dance with one another. Your spiritual path is a physical one, and I know that. And I have been largely reclusive, and to some extent intend on staying somewhat that way. I enjoy the sanctuary nature of my whole. It's like I'm a Cancerian, and we value the secure, stable, sanctuary feel of the shell that we, what kind of a crab am I? Am I one of those that digs a hole in the whatever and I'm down there or am I a hermit crab and I've got my shell and I take it with me and I want to go around? That's actually what I want to be. But within my shell, I'm comfortable and safe, and I like to feel like there is a place in the world where I do not allow the chaos into this space. And that's what was so crazy, because I have a very tight, small inner circle, and no one brings the chaos into my space. And then one of them did. And now I've got to, but I don't have to, because the chaos is over. But she's got a point about some things, and I will try a little harder, but only we will meet each other halfway, and it will be blessed, and all will be well. And I do not fear any of this. It is not necessary for us to be. We have another kind of important emotional thing coming up. The whole family is flying up to Spokane to see my 99-year-old father turn 99. And and it's fraught. That whole journey is fraught with so many pitfalls and danger, red danger places. But you know what? It doesn't have to be. It does not have to be. And so if I just go up there thinking, you know what? It is not required of me that I hit the dark side in any way. I'm going to be okay with this. No matter how it plays out, it is okay. I am okay. He is okay. They are okay. We are all okay. We are actually all okay. And I don't care where you are in the equation. You are okay. And my advice is go to the advice of your inner being and ask her how to get out of it, because she knows what you want. She knows who you are. She knows where you are. She knows what you've been doing for the last how many billions of years. She knows how your molecules intersect and interconnect with all the molecules around you. She knows where all of the biological needs of yours intersect with all of the biological needs of all of the rest of the field around you. She knows where your wants and your desires, where your needs and your desires are the same. She also knows where your desires and your beliefs agree. And that would be a good place for you to start. And you may not realize, excuse me, I have no way to pause this. You do this all the time. You believe things, you want things, and you believe things that agree with each other, and those you have no trouble getting. Like, I want breakfast. I believe I have food in the other room, and I know that I could just walk in there and make breakfast. So in that place, my desire and my belief coincide. But maybe I want $1 million, but I don't believe I know how to make $1 million. And then I just leave it right there. If I do that, then I have short-circuited myself and I can go no farther. And so the actual answer is try to figure out how to want things. Just practice this. You're sitting here in your want things. What do I want? Well, let's see, I'd like... Now, I have an idea of why this runs contrary to what we are taught to do. I was raised by parents who themselves grew up in the Depression, where there were not very many physical things, material things that were scarce. You reused tea bags. You know, actually my mother's side of the family was all Mormon, so they didn't even drink tea, but you know, metaphorically speaking, you would be doing that sort of thing. You'd be repairing everything, and, you know, there was nothing. And so a virtuous mantra of that generation was to make do with what you had and to look past material things, you know, to the value in other things. And it was best to not care about materiality manifesting better or not. You just didn't focus that way. And in a way, they weren't wrong. They were certainly not wrong, but it makes it sort of almost offensive to intentionally look around your physical world. Maybe not offensive, but it's not your knee-jerk response how to do this. Look around your physical world and look at things to improve. Things to make more orderly. Bring order to a drawer or a closet or a garage. Bring order to something in your construction. Fix some hanging blemish in your... But see, there's another pitfall here too, because if you start focusing nitpicky in you have to know that you are both a small world and a large world. Don't get lost in either one. Maybe that's my advice. Don't get lost in either one. You are both a small world and a large world. And they're both important. They're both very important, and you need to be free in both of them. Although the ultimate freedom of every single individual to do whatever they want, no matter how much it countermands, the well-being, the needs of the greater group, where that line is, that is a good question. Because social order is important. And as we reach for 8 billion souls on the planet, have we passed 8 billion yet? I don't know. I haven't been paying attention to the news for a while. I barely paid attention to the news for a minute as we came up to the election. And then as the election played out, I just couldn't watch anymore. And I'm like, oh my God, do people not know? They don't know. On the other hand, my side doesn't know either. Self-awareness is what is required here, everybody. Self-awareness on both sides of this, and an awareness of who our negative self really is, and how it relates to the energies of who we are, and how the way to get what you want in this world is figure out a way to get what you want and what you believe into the same place, all while you manage to hold your personal self in a positive state of expectation, positive recognition of well-being. And the reason I say that, and the reason that's important, is because that sense of well-being and that sense of okayness is a signal that you are in frequency with the rest of the whole. Because if you are recognizing your place in the wholeness of the whole thing, you do not feel bad. You feel good. You feel pretty damn good as you dance with the non-physical consciousnesses of millions and trillions of others. All of the cool dead, you just feel good when you are connected to the rest of the whole. And when you are only looking at a tiny piece of yourself, then that's when your negative self is. That's your negative self, is just a piece of yourself. Now that piece isn't wrong, but it's also not seeing the whole picture. And when you see the whole picture, you realize, oh, if I don't like that condition, I have to figure out how to change it from where I am whole, not from where I am knee-jerk reacting in my negative self to that condition I am observing in the world that I do not prefer. Did you follow that? That's what my problem has been my whole life. I observe all these things that I am outraged about, and I don't know what to do about them. And then finally, what I have realized is that the whole thing has been trying to show me something about the whole thing and about myself, what my actual nature actually is. And it's implying all kinds of really crazy cool things about the nature of us as a human species, and what's possible, and how we can get clean, free energy wherever anybody is that needs it, that wants it, that has an idea, that wants it fueled. It's just so cool. Our future is just so cool as the waves of understanding about the actual nature of ourselves and our situation wash over us. Our future is nothing. Our future's so bright. We gotta wear shades. No. Lyrics to a song. So anyway, I guess I will let it go for now. I wish I could say that, you can catch this show on my videos later, but you're not going to be able to because my recording of it aborted a while ago. And I'm hoping that the live stream part of it carried all the way through. And I'm hoping that the live stream recording held on YouTube also carries through. And so anyone who wants to can catch the rest of the show. Let's see. Person that stayed awake the longest won a cash prize. Craziness. Oh, I know. There's a Dick Van Dyke show. I'm just reading the what's going on in the chat room right now. There was a Dick Van Dyke episode. It was actually really funny. He was trying to set a Guinness Book of World Record, being on the air on a radio, as a radio DJ. And somebody had gone past 100 hours, and so he had agreed to try to. It was a stunt, and the funny part about it was that so he does it. He manages to make it to 100 hours, and he's Dick Van Dyke. He's really, really funny as he gets more and more, sleepy. He gets like he's drunk, and he's very funny at that. And then afterwards, he has an interview. For his job with Alan Brady, and that one's really funny too. But it is crazy. So anyway, thank you so much, Indigo. I'm glad you were here with me. I don't know what the show is going to look like later on. I've got to go fix my tech because there is no longer any room in my storage for my videos that I'm making. But anyway, I will probably be back tomorrow because I think I can fix this. I love you too. And until tomorrow, when I hope I will be back, spreading more joy and wisdom to us all from the Who Am I Radio Network, coming to you from beautiful downtown Corrales, New Mexico. Until tomorrow, may that source be with you.